Sophie needs her real dad for Christmas, not you, Derek. Jennifer kept talking, describing Brett's cabin at the mountain, 3 days starting December 23rd, just the three of them. 8 years raising her daughter, and my wife couldn't remember who sat across the dinner table. I set down my fork, pushed back my chair, excused myself to the workshop. I opened my laptop. Dr. Marcus Wong's email sat at the top of my inbox. Singapore, December 23rd deadline, $187,000. The job I'd refused 3 times for family stability. My finger hovered over the reply button. While you're here, hit subscribe and be ready for the next plot twist. I met Jennifer at Sophie's Daycare in October 2016. She rushed through the door 20 minutes late, mascara smudged under her eyes. The director had that look staff get when a parent makes a habit of this. Sophie was 18 months old, blonde curls, gap-toothed smile, clutching a stuffed elephant with one ear missing. Jennifer fumbled with the car seat straps. "I'm so sorry." She clicked the first buckle. "I'm usually not this late." Second buckle. "It's just been one of those days. I was picking up my friend's daughter from the same daycare. We got to talking in the parking lot. She mentioned being divorced, struggling alone, her ex-husband Brett somewhere in Colorado chasing ski season. I helped her load Sophie's diaper bag into her trunk. She thanked me, asked if I wanted to get coffee sometime. 7.5 years later, I'm sitting in my workshop calculating what that coffee cost me. $230,400 in mortgage payments. 96 consecutive months at $2,400 each. Every payment from my account. Jennifer contributed twice. $400 in 2018 when her event planning business had a good quarter. $300 in 2020 after her parents asked pointed questions about finances. The house deed lists both our names. The bank statements tell a different story. Sophie's expenses run separately in my mental ledger. $8,400 annually for gymnastics, piano lessons, summer art camp. $12,000 for childcare during school breaks when Jennifer's event schedule conflicted with parenting. $3,200 for school supplies, field trips, birthday parties where I was the only parent who showed up. I opened the spreadsheet I've been maintaining since 2019. Total Sophie-related expenses over 7.5 years, $177,600. Jennifer's contributions, sporadic $200 transfers when guilt struck or her mother visited. Brett's child support arrears according to Oregon Department of Justice records, $12,000 across 23 documented payment failures. 6 contempt warnings. But Jennifer wants Sophie to have Christmas with her real dad. I open my email and search for Marcus Wong's name. 3 messages spanning 6 years. March 2019. Singapore Semiconductor Facility needs senior aerospace engineer for thermal management division. Salary $165,000. Housing allowance $3,200 monthly. I declined. Jennifer said Sophie needed stability, consistency, proximity to her Portland family. August 2021. Same facility, expanded role. Salary $175,000. Same housing package, added performance bonuses. I declined again. Jennifer had just launched her Instagram account, was building her event planning brand. Moving would disrupt her momentum. November 2024. Division Director position. Salary $187,000. Enhanced relocation package. International school tuition for dependents. I declined a third time. Sophie was thriving at her elementary school. Ms. Torres knew her learning style. The astronomy club met Thursdays. Dr. Wong's first email sat in my drafts folder for 3 days. Subject line, Singapore opportunity. Body, thank you, but I need to stay in Portland for family reasons. I deleted the salary figure before hitting send. Jennifer didn't need to know what I was refusing. Jennifer's voice on the phone with her mother, Nathan's job is so flexible, he can do pickup every day. My event schedule is just too unpredictable. I'd been standing in the doorway with Sophie's lunchbox. She hadn't asked if I could do pickup. She'd told her mother I would. I keep a leather journal documenting every astronomy session. 47 entries starting when Sophie was 2. Her annotations evolved from crayon scribbles to careful marker drawings to fountain pen notes in her developing cursive. March 2017, Orion looks like he's dancing. June 2019, Big Dipper points to North Star. Nathan showed me how to find it. December 2023, can we calculate the distance to Betelgeuse using parallax? Sophie's first question about stars came when she was 3. Why do they twinkle? I could have said because of atmosphere. Instead, I asked, what else moves when you look at it through water? She spent 20 minutes watching pennies wobble in a glass. The next night, she asked about atmosphere. Brett sent birthday cards twice. One from Vale in 2019, one from Jackson Hole in 2021. Both generic drugstore cards with $20 bills inside. Showed up for 3 of Sophie's 9 birthdays, called sporadically from whatever ski resort employed him that season. Jennifer's family treated his appearances like visiting royalty. Her mother would rearrange Sunday dinners around his schedule. Her sisters posted photos with captions about Sophie's dad making the effort despite the divorce. I was just Nathan, the stable one, the boring engineer who paid the mortgage and showed up. I closed the laptop and walked through the dark house to Sophie's bedroom. The door is cracked open. Jennifer left the hallway light on like I asked her 2 years ago. Sophie doesn't like complete darkness. The glow-in-the-dark solar system covers her ceiling. I installed it over 3 weekends when she was 6. 340 individual stars positioned according to actual astronomical charts. Hand-lettered planet facts on small cards. Accurate orbital mechanics explained in terms a first grader could understand. The planets glow green in the dim light. Saturn's rings. Jupiter's red spot. The asteroid belt I created using smaller stickers arranged in proper distribution. Brett hasn't been in this room in years. Never saw Sophie's science fair project on lunar phases. Never helped with the solar system model she built for 3rd grade using painted styrofoam balls and wire hangers. But he's her real dad, the one she needs for Christmas. I stood beneath Saturn's rings, counting the 340 stars I'd positioned with a level and measuring tape, thinking about the Singapore email waiting in my workshop. I opened Jennifer's Instagram at midnight. The workshop was cold. My laptop screen cast blue light across workbenches I'd built when Sophie was 3. Yendal Tone Events, 4,300 followers. Her bio read, Event Planner, Mom Life, Living My Truth. The feed told a specific story. I scrolled through posts from the past month. Sophie's birthday party at the trampoline park. First day of 4th grade. Halloween costume construction. 47 posts featuring Sophie in 2024 alone. 0 tags. 0 mentions of my name. 0 credit for the parent who showed up. Her camera roll told a different story. I'd seen it when she left her phone unlocked last week. 212 unpublished photos. Sophie's science fair project. Our astronomy sessions. Weekend pancake breakfasts. None made the feed. I kept scrolling. Found the nostalgia posts. 12 of them spanning March through November. Throwback photos from 2008 to 2012. Jennifer and Brett hiking Multnomah Falls. Skiing at Mount Bachelor. Road trip to Crater Lake. Captions about adventure. About living fully. About the man who taught her to chase experiences instead of security. The man who owed $12,000 in child support and hadn't attended a single parent-teacher conference. I pulled up my own records. 127 conferences over 8 years. The only one I missed was September 2019 when a project deadline conflicted with the afternoon slot. I'd called Mrs. Torres that evening, got the full report by phone. Jennifer had missed 43. Yoga classes, brunch with friends. Instagram content shoots at trendy cafes with flower walls. By 2019, the pattern started. Spring that year, Jennifer joined a hot yoga studio in Northwest Portland, 10 a.m. classes 3 days a week. She'd rush out the door in expensive athleisure, hair pulled back tight, makeup fresh. I'd asked once if she wanted to reschedule around Sophie's school events. She'd said I was being controlling, that she needed self-care, that I didn't understand the pressure of building a brand. By 2021, Sunday dinners at her parents' house in West Lynn became routine. Her mother would seat everyone around the dining table overlooking the Willamette River. Expensive furniture, expensive wine, expensive conversations about her sister's successful husbands. Jennifer's father would ask about my work. I'd explain the aerospace thermal management project. He'd nod politely, then turn to Jennifer's brother-in-law to discuss real estate investments. Her mother would mention Brett, how he was following his passion, how inspiring it was that he'd chosen authenticity over conventional success. I'd paid their daughter's mortgage that month, and the month before, and every month for the past 96 consecutive months. But Brett was inspiring. March 2022 changed everything. Brett's number appeared on Jennifer's phone. I'd been loading the dishwasher one evening when her screen lit up on the counter. Miss you. Been thinking about Sophie. Want to reconnect. Jennifer's energy shifted after that text. Excited phone conversation she'd take in the bedroom with the door closed. Defensive reactions when I asked questions. Brett's arrears still sat at $12,000. 23 documented payment failures. 6 contempt warnings. 0 visits to Sophie's school. 0 calls to her teachers. 0 presence in any institutional record of her life. I'd shown Jennifer the documentation. She'd accused me of being jealous, of trying to keep Sophie from her real father, of not understanding that people could change. Jennifer had started therapy recently. Good. She needed support processing whatever she was feeling, but the language shifted. I need to honor my truth. I'm setting boundaries. I'm choosing what serves my highest good. What served her highest good was Brett's sporadic grand gestures. Weekend plans he'd suggest then cancel. Birthday calls that lasted 5 minutes. Promises about future adventures that never materialized. What didn't serve her highest good was my daily consistency. School pickup at 3:15. Homework help at 4:30. Bedtime astronomy lessons documenting 47 constellations. Whenever I expressed hurt, she'd say I was overreacting, that I was making everything about me, that I needed to work on my insecurity. Last week's school event ended the pretense. Winter celebration in Sophie's cafeteria. I'd arrived early like always. Set up the astronomy club's display table. Helped Mrs. Torres arrange the student projects. Jennifer walked in with Brett. Parents turned to look. Nobody recognized him. I'd been the dad at pickup for 8 years. The volunteer at field trips. The name on emergency contact forms. Ms. Torres pulled me aside near the bulletin board. Her voice dropped low. Is everything okay at home? I'd told her everything was fine, that Brett was just visiting. She glanced at Jennifer and Brett laughing by the refreshment table. Her expression said she didn't believe me. I closed the laptop. The workshop settled into darkness. The community knew who Sophie's actual parent was. Everyone except the woman who'd called me Derek at dinner. Jennifer set her wine glass on the table without looking at me. Her phone sat face up beside her plate, Brett's name visible in her recent texts. She'd positioned it there, deliberate. Brett got us the cabin. 3 days at Mount Bachelor, December 23rd through 26th. Just the 3 of us. Sophie's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. The words landed. Just the 3 of us. The cabin you mentioned last week? My fork stayed steady against the plate. The one near the ski resort. Jennifer nodded. Her voice picked up speed. It's perfect, Nathan. Floor-to-ceiling windows, stone fireplace, direct access to the slopes. Sophie's going to love it. Sophie stared at her plate. Green beans arranged in careful lines, chicken cut into precise squares the way I'd taught her when she was 4. The food had gone cold. I've been planning our Christmas for 8 years. Same tradition. Morning pancakes, afternoon astronomy session, evening at your parents' house. Jennifer's expression shifted. Defensive. This is different. Sophie deserves real memories with her actual father. Brett's trying so hard. He really wants to connect with her. I set down my fork. The sound cracked against the sudden quiet. I've declined 3 offers from Singapore. 3. Each time you said Sophie needed stability, that moving would disrupt her life. Now you're telling me she needs her real dad for Christmas. What exactly changed, Jen? Her face flushed. You're twisting this. Brett is Sophie's father, her biological father. She has a right to spend holidays with him. The word biological. 8 years of 315 pickups, 127 parent-teacher conferences, 47 documented astronomy sessions, all erased by chromosomes. What about the mortgage I've paid for 96 consecutive months? What about the $12,000 Brett owes in child support? What about the fact that her school doesn't even recognize him? Jennifer stood. The chair shrieked against hardwood. You're making this about you, about your ego. I need to honor what's best for my daughter, not manage your insecurity. My daughter, not our daughter, not Sophie. My daughter, as if ownership followed DNA instead of daily care. Brett is Sophie's father, her actual father. She deserves Christmas memories with him, not just. She waved her hand at the table, the house, the life I'd built. This, 8 years reduced to dismissible inconvenience. The phrase hung in the air between us like smoke. Sophie's tears started silently. She pushed back from the table and ran. Her footsteps pounded up the stairs. The bedroom door didn't slam. She never slammed doors. I followed her upstairs. Found her under the glow-in-the-dark stars I'd positioned over 3 weekends when she was 6. 340 individual stars. Hand-lettered planet facts. Accurate orbital mechanics explained to a first grader. She looked up at me. Tears tracked down her cheeks in the green glow. Her stuffed elephant lay on the floor where she'd dropped it. You're my real dad, Nathan. Mom's being mean. I sat on the edge of her bed. The mattress dipped under my weight. I know, kiddo. I don't want to go to the cabin. I want Christmas here, with you. Downstairs, Jennifer's voice carried through the heating vents. She was on the phone with someone. Her mother, probably. Excited tones about the mountain trip. Sophie wiped her nose on her sleeve. Can you come with us? I smoothed her hair back from her forehead. Your mom wants this trip to be just you and her and Brett. That's not fair. No, it's not. I stayed until her breathing evened out. Until the tears stopped. Until she fell asleep under the solar system I'd built for her. The workshop hit 42 degrees by 11. I turned on the space heater and opened my laptop. Sophie's astronomy journal lay on the workbench where I'd left it that morning. Leather binding worn soft from 7 years of use. I flipped to the last entry. Fountain pen in careful cursive, nothing like the crayon scribbles from 2017. Orion's belt with Nathan. He says Betelgeuse might explode someday. I hope I'm with him when it does. I read it twice, set the journal down before my hands could shake. My mother's voice came back. Her hospital room 3 years ago, morphine making her words slow but clear. Never let anyone treat you like you're disposable, Nathan. The moment you accept that, you teach them it's acceptable. I opened my email, found the thread from Dr. Marcus Wong. 3 messages spanning 6 years. March 2019, August 2021, November 2024. The most recent sat at the top. Singapore Semiconductor Facility. Division Director position. Deadline, December 23rd. The same day Jennifer would be driving to Brett's borrowed cabin. I scrolled to the compensation section. $187,000 base salary. $3,200 monthly housing allowance. 20% annual performance bonus. Numbers I'd never mentioned to Jennifer. Opportunities I'd refused because she'd insisted Sophie needed stability. I pulled up my banking records. $212,800 in mortgage payments, $177,600 in Sophie-related expenses, 7.5 years, all documented, until she decided biology mattered more than daily care. I clicked reply on Marcus's email, typed 4 words. I accept the position, cursor blinking on the send button. Jennifer's voice drifted from upstairs. She was packing already, excited about her authentic family Christmas. I hit send. The email disappeared. Singapore confirmed in my inbox 3 seconds later. December 16th, Monday morning, I walked into Sophie's elementary school. The office smelled like toner cartridges and the industrial lemon cleaner they used on Fridays. Mrs. Patterson, the secretary who'd known me for 8 years, pulled the parent-teacher conference binder from the filing cabinet without me asking. "You need copies of the sign-in sheets." All of them. I set my laptop bag on the counter. Every conference since Sophie started kindergarten. She fed pages through the copier without looking up. No questions. 127 sheets. My signature on every one except September 2019, when a project deadline conflicted. Jennifer's name appeared on 84. Brett's on 0. Mrs. Patterson handed me the stack, stapled, organized by year. "Sophie's lucky to have you." I thanked her and drove to the pediatrician's office across town. The clerk pulled up Sophie's file. 23 appointments loaded on screen. Vaccinations, strep throat, the broken wrist from gymnastics in 3rd grade, my name on the authorization forms, my number listed as primary contact, Brett's name absent from every document. The clerk slid the pages across the counter. Is there a custody dispute? Just documenting things. I folded the records into my bag, making sure everything's clear. That afternoon, I sat in a private office at Wells Fargo. The banker pulled up our mortgage account on his computer, turned the screen toward me. 96 consecutive payments, $2,400 each, $215,040 total, every withdrawal from my checking account. The joint account showed Jennifer's sporadic contributions, $400 in March 2018, $300 in November 2020, nothing since. I need statements going back to 2016. The banker scrolled through the account history, stopped, scrolled back up. His expression didn't change, but he printed the statements without asking why I needed them. The printer kept running. 40 pages, 50, 60, 8 years of proof in a 2-inch stack. I drove home and spread everything across my workshop bench. Conference sheets on the left, medical records in the center, bank statements on the right, 8 years of proof that Jennifer had spent the morning packing for Brett's cabin. My phone buzzed. Text from Mrs. Torres. "Nathan, I finished that letter you requested. Stop by whenever you're ready." I walked back to the school at 4. Ms. Torres handed me a single page. Typed, signed, dated. "In 8 years of teaching Sophie Dalton, Nathan Dalton has been her parent. He attended every school event, volunteered for field trips, maintained consistent communication about Sophie's academic progress." Brett Callahan appeared twice in December 2024. I assumed he was a family friend until Mrs. Dalton corrected me. I read it twice, folded it carefully. "This helps. Thank you." She nodded toward the hallway where other teachers were leaving for the day. "Everyone here knows who shows up for Sophie. We all do." That evening, I opened the Oregon Department of Justice website, searched Brett's name in the child support database. His arrears loaded on screen. $12,000 across 23 documented payment failures, 6 contempt warnings. The payment history showed his pattern. Sporadic deposits, February 2019, $200. March through August, nothing. September 2019, $400 after contempt warning. October through January, nothing again. I opened the screenshot tool, captured the payment history. The contempt warnings. The pattern of $200 deposits followed by silence. Sophie's astronomy journal sat on the workbench where I'd left it. I opened to the first entry. March 2017, her crayon drawing of Orion. The words in my handwriting because she couldn't write yet. Orion looks like he's dancing. I turned each page slowly, positioned my phone. 47 entries backed up to cloud storage in 12 minutes. At 11:47 that night, I opened my email, found the thread from Dr. Marcus Wong. His most recent message sat at the top. Singapore position, December 23rd deadline. I typed 4 sentences. Marcus, if the position remains available, I accept. I can be in Singapore by December 26th. Please send relocation details at your earliest convenience. Thank you for your patience. I hit send before I could reconsider. The response arrived at 6:23 Singapore time Monday morning, 2:23 in the afternoon, Portland time, Sunday. Position confirmed. Relocation logistics within 6 hours. Welcome to the team you should never have left. Plea ability, Singapore confirmed. Relocation in 6 days. No turning back now. The thought should have scared me. Instead, I felt lighter than I had in months. I closed the laptop, pulled out my phone, called Sarah Chen, the family attorney who'd handled my mother's estate 3 years ago. Sarah, I need help with something. In loco parentis, what would it take? She asked questions. I gave answers. She went quiet for 10 seconds. Nathan, what you're describing is textbook psychological parent status. With your documentation, you'd have a strong case. Let me connect you with Rachel Kimura. She handles these mediations. Can you meet tomorrow? I can meet whenever she's available. I'll text you her number. The workshop settled into silence. My phone buzzed. Rachel Kimura's contact information. Then another text from Sarah. Don't let anyone erase 8 years of showing up. Biology doesn't make someone a parent. You already know that. I saved the number, looked at the folders spread across my workbench. Conference sheets on the left, medical records in the center, bank statements on the right, Ms. Torres's letter, Brett's arrears. Sophie's journal backed up in cloud storage. Jennifer thought she was choosing her daughter's real father for Christmas. She'd just chosen the evidence that would show exactly who'd been Sophie's parent for 8 years. 6 days since I'd accepted Singapore. 6 days of watching her pack for Brett's cabin while I prepared my exit. Jennifer's suitcase sat by the front door. Designer luggage, the expensive kind she'd bought last month without asking, $2,000. She'd used our joint account. She folded clothes on the couch, cashmere sweater creased just so, ski pants still tagged. Her phone buzzed every few minutes. Brett's name lit the screen each time. I stood in the doorway between the living room and kitchen. She didn't look up. Jen, we need to talk. She glanced at me, smiled that practiced smile. Can it wait? I'm trying to finish packing before Sophie gets home from Emma's house. No, I walked to the armchair across from her, the same chair I'd sat in 8 years ago when Sophie had nightmares. When Jennifer was too tired from yoga to comfort her, sat down. It can't wait. Something in my voice made her stop folding. She set the sweater aside. Okay, what's going on? I've made a decision. About Singapore, her hands stopped mid-fold. The cashmere sweater slipped from her fingers. She stared at me like I'd spoken a language she didn't understand. Singapore, Dr. Marcus Wong offered me a position, Division Director, Aerospace Thermal Management. I accepted. Her face went pale. She set the sweater down slowly, fingers trembling against the fabric. You what? I'm leaving December 26th. Day after Christmas. I'll be in Singapore by the 27th. Nathan, this isn't funny. Her voice cracked on the last word. She stood, paced to the window, back to the couch. I'm not joking. I pulled out my phone, showed her Marcus's original offer email and my acceptance reply sent 6 days ago. Relocation package, start date, housing allowance. She reached for her wine glass, set it down without drinking. Reached for it again. Her hand shook. You can't just leave. What about Sophie? What about the mortgage? The mortgage is in both our names. You'll need to refinance or sell. Sarah Chin has 8 years of bank statements. Every mortgage payment highlighted. Every time your name appears, 84 conferences out of 127. Your lawyer? When did you get a lawyer? Last week. Sarah Chen. She's very thorough. Jennifer sat down hard. The designer luggage by the door caught her eye. She looked from it to me. You're doing this because of the cabin trip. Because I want Sophie to spend Christmas with her father. I pulled out my phone, showed her the numbers in Marcus's email. 187,000. She'd never asked what I earned, never asked what I was refusing. Let me tell you about the Singapore offers. There were 3. March 2019, 165,000 base salary. August 2021, 175,000. November 2024, 187,000. Each time you said Sophie needed stability. That moving would be selfish. He went very still. The current offer is 187,000 base, 3,200 monthly housing allowance, 20% annual performance bonus. I've been turning down nearly $300,000 in total compensation to stay in Portland. I never thought. She stopped. Started again. You always just went along with everything. The words came out quiet. Defeated. I never told you the numbers. Seemed like bragging about opportunities I was refusing for our family. I picked up my laptop bag, pulled out 3 folders I prepared 6 days ago, set them on the coffee table between us. But you decided Sophie needs her real dad for Christmas, so I'm honoring that. I set the first folder on the coffee table. 127 parent-teacher conference sign-in sheets. My signature on every one except September 2019. Brett's name appears 0 times. Second folder. 23 pediatric appointment records. My name as authorized guardian. Brett's name absent. Third folder. Bank statements going back to 2016. $215,040 in mortgage payments. All from my account. Your contributions total $700 across 8 years. The Christmas tree lights blinked in the corner. I'd strung them 2 weeks ago while she was at hot yoga, red and green reflecting off her wine glass. This is insane. You're being vindictive. I'm being precise. Miss Rachel Kimura specializes in psychological parent cases. She reviewed my evidence last week. Called it textbook. Oregon law recognizes psychological parents. 8 years of daily care outweighs biology in family court. You can't do this. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Mascara smudged. The same mascara she'd perfected for cabin trip photos. You're abandoning us. You told me Sophie needs her real dad. I'm giving you what you asked for. The mortgage, the house, Brett's sporadic visits. All yours. Nathan, please. I didn't mean it like that. You know I didn't. I pulled my house key from my pocket, set it on the coffee table next to the folders. I'll be gone before you get back from the cabin. My attorney will contact you about equitable division. The house equity I built will be addressed legally. She reached for me. I stepped back. Sophie will be devastated. Now she cared about Sophie's feelings. A week ago, she'd called Brett her real dad. Sophie will be devastated because you chose Brett's 3-day performance over 8 years of actual parenting. That's your choice. Singapore is mine. I picked up my laptop bag, walked toward the workshop. Nathan, wait, please. We can work this out. I stopped at the doorway, didn't turn around. Enjoy your authentic Christmas, Jen. The workshop door closed behind me. Her voice carried through the wood, pleading, angry, desperate. I sat at my workbench, opened Sophie's astronomy journal, turned to the last entry. Beetlejuice might explode someday. I hope I'm with him when it does. I read it twice before closing the cover. Outside the workshop, Jennifer's footsteps paced the living room. Her phone rang. Her voice carried through the heating vents. Excited tones about the mountain trip, probably calling her mother. Jennifer's explanation came in broken sentences. He's leaving Singapore. I didn't know about the money. I closed the laptop, looked at Sophie's astronomy journal on the shelf, 47 entries documenting 7 years of constellation sessions. The pacing stopped. Jennifer's car started in the driveway. Tires on pavement. Gone. The house settled into silence. Singapore Airlines Flight 237 departed Portland at 11:15 a.m. on December 21st. I watched the city shrink beneath the wing until Mount Hood disappeared into cloud cover. 80,000 miles. 16-hour time difference. Gone before Jennifer returned from the cabin. My phone showed her Instagram story 3 hours into the flight. Snow covered a frame. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Stone fireplace visible through the glass. Caption: creating the memories that matter. You authentic family, a blessed. 4,300 followers. 247 likes in the first hour. I turned off my phone and slept until Tokyo. December 25th. Christmas morning in Singapore. Christmas Eve in Portland. My phone buzzed with voicemail notifications. 7 missed calls from Jennifer's number. I didn't listen to them. Dr. Marcus Wong met me at Marina Bay with apartment keys and a welcome packet. The view overlooked the harbor. 23rd floor, glass walls. Nothing like the Beaverton house with its mortgage payments I'd covered for 96 consecutive months. The harbor stretched below, container ships moving like toys. Your first team meeting is January 2nd. Marcus handed me a folder. Take the week to settle in. We're glad you're here. I unpacked 3 suitcases. Half my clothes, my laptop, Sophie's astronomy journal backed up in cloud storage. The rest stayed in Portland for Jennifer to deal with. Jennifer's voicemails kept coming. 7 became 12, became 17. I let them pile up, listened to none of them. Sarah Chen called December 26th evening in Singapore. Your wife found the note you left. She's called my office 4 times. Wants to know when you're coming back. I'm not coming back. She also found the mortgage bill on the counter. Good. January payment is her responsibility. Sarah went quiet for 3 seconds. Nathan, she can't afford the mortgage alone. Her event planning income won't qualify for refinance. That's not my problem anymore. Sarah's follow-up email arrived the next day. It included a voicemail transcript from Jennifer. Rhett's ski instructor friend called Christmas morning. Short-staffed. Work the holiday rush or lose the cabin. Brett chose work. Jennifer and Sophie spent Christmas alone in the A-frame. I read it twice, deleted it. January 5th. Sarah forwarded me an email from Wells Fargo. Jennifer had attempted to refinance. Wells Fargo declined Jennifer's refinance application. Her annual income, $28,000. Monthly mortgage payment, $2,400. The math didn't work. She'd need a co-signer. Her parents refused. Sarah's follow-up email arrived an hour later. Jennifer's mother called, said they won't enable their daughter's mistake. Their words, not mine. They finally understand who was funding their daughter's lifestyle. I forwarded the email to my Singapore work account and deleted it from my personal inbox. January 15th. Mrs. Rachel Kimura filed her mediation report. Sarah sent me the PDF 23 pages. Clinical, documented. Nathan Dalton attended 127 parent-teacher conferences over 8 years. Jennifer Dalton attended 84. Brett Callahan attended 0. Nathan Dalton authorized 23 pediatric appointments. Brett Callahan authorized 0. Nathan Dalton provided daily care including school transportation, homework assistance, and extracurricular support for 8 consecutive years. Brett Callahan's documented involvement, 47 missed visitation appointments. The recommendation section appeared on page 19. Court should grant Nathan Dalton continued contact rights as psychological parent despite geographic distance. Brett Callahan's visitation should be contingent on clearing $12,000 in arrears and supervised visits only. Biology does not outweigh documented abandonment in this court's assessment. I read it twice, saved it to 3 different folders. Printed a copy for my Singapore apartment. 8 years of daily care reduced to 23 clinical pages. Every conference, every pediatric visit, every mortgage payment. The documentation I'd compiled had transformed dismissed contributions into legal record. Sarah's text arrived 20 minutes later. Jennifer saw the report. She's not contesting it. I think she finally understands what she destroyed. February 3rd, Sarah forwarded one more email. Jennifer had found something in my workshop drawer after I'd already left. The photo showed Sophie's goodbye card, crayon drawing of 2 figures under stars. Her careful printing, "You're my real dad where it matters," in the constellations. "I'm sorry Mom is making you sad." The card Sophie had hidden before the cabin trip. The one I'd never seen until Jennifer found it weeks later. Sarah's message. Jennifer called crying. Said she didn't know Sophie had made this, that she realizes now what she did. I looked at the photo for a long time. Sophie's handwriting, her apology for something that was never her fault. Deleted the message. Kept the photo. Jennifer moved to a smaller rental in March while the house was listed. The Beaverton house sold in April. Jennifer's Instagram account went private the same week. I heard from Sarah that mutual friends had started asking questions in the comments. Where's Nathan, who paid for the house? What happened to Sophie's real parent? The blessed life narrative couldn't survive documentary evidence. I got the notification from my bank when the mortgage account closed. 96 payments. All mine. The house equity would be addressed in the divorce settlement Sarah was negotiating. Brett disappeared after 2 January visits. Ski season in Colorado. 0 child support payments. The Oregon Department of Justice database showed the pattern continuing exactly as documented: sporadic $200 deposits, then silence. Singapore had Southern Cross constellations. Sophie and I had never mapped together. I started a new journal, digital this time, sent her photos every Thursday. Thursday evening I sent Sophie a photo of Centaurus, the Southern Cross constellation we'd never mapped together. Her response came Friday morning Portland time, a crayon drawing of the 4 stars, carefully labeled. A question in her careful printing: when can we look at Betelgeuse together again? She responded with drawings, questions about stars, updates about school. Never mentioned her mother's Instagram going dark. Never mentioned the smaller apartment. Never mentioned Brett's disappearance. You're my real dad where it matters, in the constellations. If my story speaks to you, drop a like and join the conversation. 6 months in Singapore, June 2025. Thursday video calls became routine. Sophie's face filled my laptop screen at 7 p.m. Marina Bay time, 9 a.m. Portland. Her hair was longer now. She'd turned 10 in April. She held up her tablet. Her finger traced 4 stars across the screen. Alpha Crucis, Beta Crucis, Gamma Delta. Labels in careful handwriting. Can you see it tonight? She asked. I walked to the window, 23rd floor overlooking the harbor. Yeah, kiddo. Same stars, different hemisphere. Her smile reached her eyes. The new place is smaller. I miss my old room. I know, Sarah told me. Brett left again. Colorado. I didn't respond. Sophie didn't need my commentary on Brett's pattern. She was learning it herself. Ms. Torres says hi. She asks about you. Tell her I said hi back. The call lasted 47 minutes. Same length as our old bedtime astronomy sessions. When we hung up, I opened the digital journal, added her Southern Cross annotation, backed it up to 3 different cloud services. Same ritual, different hemisphere. 6 months had passed since the foreclosure. Jennifer's Instagram remained private. The questions from mutual friends unanswered. Brett hadn't called since February. Digital journal, cloud storage instead of leather binding. But her annotations still showed the same careful observations. Same questions, same wonder. My mother said you teach people how to treat you. I spent 8 years accepting less than I deserved. But you can't earn respect from someone who's already decided you're disposable. Sometimes the only way to teach that lesson is to leave. Sophie knows where to find me. In the stars, we map together. That's the family that actually mattered.